Hello, everyone. We are back off of our break. Thank you for your patience. I hope you are equally refreshed. I ended up having some soft tacos, so yum to that.
Oh,
And
damn. Tacos sound so dope right now.
uh, they were uh, they were good. Uh, Thank you, Derek. We are back, and Fluffy is still away, so Bright is on autopilot. But where we had left off is um, Loki was, I guess, getting to relive childhood dreams, sharing his excitement with his sister Norallie, and saying that everything going on right now, there's opportunity in it. That this is, yeah, there's bad stuff, but at least to him, he sees that this might be a dream come true. That there's a lot that can be done. That he actually feels really motivated and excited and happy. And also, Norallie needs to take a nap, so she's sleepy.
I'm
Um,
sleepy.
what we can do, Noralei, is at some point in time, you can fall asleep. Loki is going to be there. I mean, he tells you that he'll watch over you, so it's no problem. And we got to get a cat butt in chat. There we go. Excellent.
Yep.
It's an official stream now, everyone. We've had a cat butt. Uh, at some point, Celine is going to leave the shack and will come out and have a conversation of sorts, but without lethality here. If lethality wanted to have a, I guess, a private-ish conversation with Loki, um, we can set that off to the side, and that can be a side thing that to role play through. Um, but at some point in time, maybe Loki will wake you up as some time will have passed. Uh, but we swung the scene out to you. I want to go back to the. I want to go back to the shack. We will have a Bright here soon, I'm sure. Celine at some point will come back as well, Mordecai. So we can say that at this point in time, it could maybe it's been a couple hours since you started talking. She left. She's going to meander back at some point. This is an opportunity if you wanted any private conversation with Bright. Um, this is a moment where you all are kind of splitting, but you can have interaction if you want to have interaction with each other. Um, oh,
There's a fluff.
Oops, did I forget to put myself on mute?
no,
You're
well,
good.
I mean, when you're putting your headset on, there's a lot of ruffling going on,
Yeah.
a lot of floofing.
Yeah, I have to carefully thread it through the.
um, then I guess before Celine gets back, Bright, is there anything that you would want to talk about with Mordecai in private, or converse, or Mordecai you with Bright while you have the shack to yourselves?
Yeah, so Mordecai, I
Hmm.
had never really thought about this before, but seeing Loki's broken horn, do you have like horn specialists? Do you have to get like horn fillings and horn crowns, or how does that work for you?
It kind of depends. Because there are some tieflings that their, I guess their horns just continue to grow. I mean, they have like little facets and things like that. To just, I suppose it just depends. Uh, Mine have been this size for as long as I can remember, and I don't kind of I don't know. Uh, it definitely hurts because there's actual bone under there. Um, so to have it chip off is a big deal. Um, I don't. I hadn't thought about that out of character very much.
Maybe not in
uh,
character either. Who knows?
Maybe,
Huh?
but
I think I'll stick with floofs.
mine are fairly smooth. There's some people who have ridges in theirs. It's it's painful to lose a piece of it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely sticking with floofs.
That's not painful to lose hair. No, there's
Well, I mean, it's emotionally painful. I
Oh,
had to,
yes, that's very valid because
because
you
you
are
know
a
that.
big fan of your long hair.
Yeah, well, you know that gnome hair grows so slowly,
Hmm.
so so
You also,
it takes
I,
years
sup-
and years to grow floofs like this.
I suppose it also goes hand in hand with the fact that gnomes also age fairly slowly too, right?
I mean, maybe, probably. It,
Comparatively, you
it's
live
just,
longer.
yeah, it's just how we are. I don't know if there's a connection. Maybe there is, but I mean,
I don't know enough about gnomes.
we eat the same amount of times.
Quantity is
But well, no,
varied.
not the same quantity because we're smaller. We don't eat as much,
Yeah,
but we eat as often, so it's not everything is slower.
not everything, I guess. Yeah, but I don't know. I hadn't really thought about that too much.
Yeah,
It's. I guess it kind of speaks to the. It's just how it's always been kind of mindset the whole world is under.
yeah, it could be. Huh. Note to self: determine the connection between metabolism and floofs, and thereby reveal the secrets of the world. Now I know what to cast legend lore on.
I it really hadn't I really hadn't thought too much about the fact that you're essentially not really tied to the world anymore as far as
Oh, yeah. Well,
family and things like that.
just about everything I care about is gone. And I mean, I know Gaspard has a thing, uh, but it's not as important to me as trying to get my people back. I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, thousands and thousands of gnomes versus just one.
Yeah, that definitely. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what that must feel like.
You know, to be honest, it doesn't feel like that much because I wasn't. It's been so long since I've been at home, and I wasn't seeing most of my friends. Well, most of my family. I don't really. Anyway, I wasn't really seeing them very often anymore. Anyway, so one day, much like another, you don't really notice it, but then you think about it, and you think everyone is gone.
Next thing you know, it's 10 years later.
Yeah, which is normally nothing for us.
Mm.
It's amazing how much time you lose when you're not thinking about something or trying to avoid thinking about something.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, so that's a great idea. Let's avoid thinking about this right now.
Okay. Uh, I tend to try not avoiding thinking about things because I did that for far too long already.
Well, I think we've got things to do. We have to get going.
So, what should be next on our agenda?
I don't know. Where's
That
Norallie and Celine?
well, they're outside. Uh, we could go to Uct, kind of gauge the situation.
Well, I think we have to deal with the Leviathan first. But once we have, maybe we can take a stop in Uct and see. I'm sure there's hardly anybody left, but we can at least see what sort of shape the. I don't even know if I can call it a country anymore. I don't know. There used to be a lot of humans in Uct too, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe some of them are still around. We'll see.
Well, if there's any, I. What would you do? Would you be happy if those who have passed as a result of Shondaruth came back.
Well, I mean, how could I not be? I mean, that's thousands and thousands. I don't even know how many gnomes lived in Uct, but I mean, there were, I don't know, about 50 in my little village. And there were 3 little villages like that, all within walking distance of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we were hardly the only gnomes in Uct. There were hundreds of little settlements like that. So there must have been 10,000 gnomes at least living in Uct. And I mean, if only a few hundred of them survived, I think that at this point I'd have to call that a win. But everyone who doesn't, I'm gonna be sad for.
Because I've been thinking about it. I've been meditating and reaching out to Zuviwal and trying to get an answer to what it costs to raise someone from the dead, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you've done it with Celine, but
At
I don't think that means
saving
is good.
myself.
Yeah, but I don't think that means is available anymore. Because Weejas was responsible for that, and Weejas probably isn't your biggest fan anymore.
No, she's probably not a big fan of us at all. But I didn't reach out to Weejas.
But how could the land do that? I mean, maybe the land could reincarnate someone. I don't know. I'm just speculating. You're the cleric. I'm not. But
That's kind of what I've been. Because with the prayer that came out of my mouth when I raised Celine was, she's an agent of your will. We need her to Zuviwal. And Celine was allowed back. And she did the same thing to Jaden. Except that was through Weejas, which makes sense.
yeah,
I don't know. I think that there are higher powers out there than just Weejas and just the land. I don't know. You hear stories about dragons and all of that kind of thing. Well, what created them?
Oh.
They
weren't always just here, were they?
I don't know. They were at the beginning of the story. But maybe they weren't. Maybe they were at the end of some other story.
Or the start of the story. The whatever it is that... Because Weejas was created by the Giants, which were one of the original characters in the story.
Yeah.
And in that, the Giants, mankind, and dragons were all here coexisting to a degree until, they started infighting or whatever. What's the story before that?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But I mean,
one would think that you would see relics or things of that sort from different ages ago.
Well, I've been thinking that for forever. Maybe we could find some archaeology or some elves who would know. Because I mean, if an elf lives 1,000 years, they would have been around. But we've never really had any luck with that.
We don't really
So,
have a time frame as to when that story
yeah,
started.
yeah, it's true. It could have been 20,000 years ago, and
Could
we
have been
always
ages ago.
we wouldn't even remember. I don't know.
But to cease to exist is to basically fall into Ouija's hands.
Yeah. But when Celine died recently, got better. She hadn't. She was only dead for a minute, so it's probably
Not even
different.
that long. Well, she probably hadn't had time to, travel back to wherever that was.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's a way to, like you said, reincarnate someone or something.
It seems like something the land would be more likely to be able to do. I don't know. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it have to basically take the soul away from Ouija's? Once she eats it, isn't it gone? I don't know. We don't know how that works.
Yeah, once she takes a soul, the whatever whatever did exist of that person, if they go to Ouija's, is forgotten.
Yeah.
And I tried to forget Corinna, but I couldn't.
So does that mean that she's like stuck in Ouija's teeth or something?
I think if you continue to remember a person, then some form of them exists.
Well, that's always a nice sentiment, but it doesn't account for the actual forgetting that seems to be more forced than just something
She
that happens. Because
she
after
tried to she
after
tried to
3 or
force
4
us to join her.
generations, yeah,
And generations have gone by since whatever this story is that happened before the dragons, the giants, and mankind, that's long forgotten.
well, it might not be forgotten that much longer. We'll start digging that stuff up, see if there even is an answer.
I'd be curious. I've always been curious about history. Always been curious about history. That's always been something that's been a high on my priority list. I want to know all the stories.
Mm-hmm.
And that little bit of storyteller is still in there somewhere.
So if you learn about somebody who's been forgotten and start telling their story, what happens to them?
I don't know.
Does we just get indigestion? Does
Maybe.
Huh. Well, we'll have to try it. We'll have to try it.
I mean, I would hope that's kind of what's happening with the land, given that some of us are more aware of her, actual beingness ish. I don't know exactly how to describe it, actually. Because I want to say that there's a personhood back behind that. But it doesn't really have a face. Doesn't really. I mean, the name she gave me was just letters. Like
Yeah.
she wanted me to spell it for her.
And I can barely even remember how to say it. Suviwo?
Yeah, Zuvia.
Huh.
Zuvia.
I don't know.
It's just curious, and the people of the Six Landlords haven't forgotten her, even if they really don't call her a name. Maybe that part's not really that important.
I don't know. I think names are always important.
I do too.
I feel like I should draw a conclusion about the statues.
Hmm.
These images of the statues are just coming to mind for some reason. I don't know. Maybe Zubiwo is the name of one of these statues, and that's really who you're praying to, and then the others all have names of their own that could be used to access different aspects of the land's power.
You think there are other gods that might be out there, or representations of gods, or
Yeah, I'm not gonna put a word on it exactly, but other powers, some other
there's
power
gotta
that
be
you might be able to tap into.
there's gotta be more out there than just Weejas, Shunnerith, or Lons, or whatever constitutes a patron of the Fae these days, or Mercury, or because all of these beings are just meant, they were created to fight each other by beings that were continuing to fight each other.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's too much fighting. I don't like it. Too much fighting between too many things on this planet. Just leave us the fuck alone.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any more ideas right now, but I think if we can, I don't know, we might have to visit the monastery at some point.
Well,
Haven't really been there since you converted to Zuviwo.
yeah, that's true.
You might find someone like-minded there that could give you some clues.
Between
Maybe.
the two of you, I would like each of you get 2 rolls. You split it however you want. I want an Arcana, Religion, Insight, and Investigation, and you 2 split them up with 2 rolls each.
Well, I'll do
From
the
those.
Arcana for sure.
I'll do
The
religion.
others. Yeah, I don't have proficiency in religion, so you might actually be better at it.
I do have religion, yeah.
And
I'll
then
go ahead and do
Insight,
that
what's
one.
the other one?
Insight, Investigation, Arcana, and Religion.
I'll do insight.
Okay. I'll do Investigation and Arcana. Here's the Investigation. Can I use my portents on these?
Yeah, these are rolls. It's not for like
Okay.
a direct thing, but this is idea. As you're having this conversation, this is me as your DM. Well, reasonably, ideas like prompts for me as a DM might come to mind to help with connections or to achieve the goal you're trying to reach.
Okay.
Presumably might be an answer.
Well then, in that case, I'm gonna roll my Investigation. And then I'm gonna use a portent on the Arcana. Oh, that's not good. Can I use a luck on that?
Is luck only on a 1 though?
No, that's halfling luck. Feat luck is whenever you make an ability check.
Oh, yeah,
Ability
sure.
check or attack roll, you can spend a luck point.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I'm
While
gonna
this
roll
is
that
for a
again.
prompt, it's still, this is kind of a passive use. It's not a passive plus 10, but it's a
13. Well, it's better. And then for my Arcana, I'm
Okay.
gonna use my portent. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be 29.
Ooh.
Whoa!
Wow. All right. All right.
Wow!
25, 19, 13, and 29 here between the four of them.
Jesus.
It's,
Some decent rolls.
yeah. All right.
Right in Mordecai, the thinky bits.
uh, we. Well, you're the cleric of the wizard. I gotta hit you in the thinky bits first, because otherwise I gotta take out your healing and your wizard, because that's a lot of damage and a lot of healing. All right. The conversation plays out as it did. Ideas or topics or something that might come to mind. Questioning, well, we know about these entities known as patrons. And we're also crossing that with what might be the difference between a god and a patron, especially as your all's opinion of Ouijas might actually be thrown into some sort of doubt, because there's aspects of her that feel a lot more, well, in mechanical terms, patrony, warlocky than through acts of faith and such.
She
And
also
she might
seems
be
like a robot.
and she might be in a weird in between, but considering and this would be Mordecai perhaps coming more from your angle. A big conflict of your faith, of your existential thoughts you've been having, is that there's been a lot of taking. The culture, even the religion has been that of takers. It has been asserting power, asserting dominance. It has been, what can you achieve? What can you get? And what do you get by taking from others? Patrons do give power, but where do they get the power to give to others? What is being taken in that regard? It has to come from somewhere, presumably.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps with you coming into, like, there's no real scripture about this. I mean, maybe you haven't been to the monastery, you visited the 6 landlords, but they didn't really have scripture per se. But what makes Zuvuao different than Ouijas, and Ouijas similar or different from or to patrons?
Well, one thing that crosses Mordecai's mind is that Zuvuao doesn't ask for anything in return. She just gives freely.
She is a giver. It favors giving. It doesn't favor power.
Mm-hmm.
It
Favors
wants
compassion
to empower people. It is a flowing outward. It is something that requires belief. Because Zuvuao, you could argue, well, Zuvuao's in every rock, in every leaf, or whatever. But there's no Zuvuao that will manifest. Icons of Ouijas are everywhere. Everyone can tell you what Ouijas looks like. I mean, you might get regional variants.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a hard iconography. The patrons are beings that, while you wish they didn't exist, are undoubtedly existent. They undoubtedly manifest. There's no real belief structure to them, because it's right in front of you. There's nothing... Yeah. It's an imposition. They are here, and if they exist here, you can't exist here. You have to exist outside of them or at their service.
Evident. Yeah.
And so exploring what godhood could mean would be, well, a giving up of power. Almost like the ultimate not powerful thing. Because the power itself, and, right, you're welcome to think back on the things that you had talked to Celine about earlier, but that power, it is a manifestation, but you have to get it from somewhere. and it requires this service, this sacrifice, this it takes from you. Whereas belief, it is the giving of power. It is not a centralized source. It is something that all can access, all can learn from and learn about. And the 6 landlords, is there iconography? Yes, they're all different though. They're all different faces of, well, they carve themselves. Everyone out there, them, a family member or something along those lines. But these are all different faces for the same concept. They are the landlords. They are the ones who watch over the land. How this plays into manifestations of divinity, or the source of magic and how that works. My riddle to you from the little skill challenge isn't necessarily directly addressing that, but these seem to be consistent concepts that you have experienced now and that you can take into consideration. And that was the main thing that I wanted to bring up, but you did pretty well between the two of you, that if there's another bit from this conversation that you would like the idea to come up in between your two brains in your conversation, maybe I can offer insight or clarity into that, or to point you in a direction and let you wander that way. So making a more determined, like your DM telling you in out of character terms, but through in character conversation and discovery, we're starting to get a firmer picture, harder lines into what these concepts mean and what they may do. And as it's sort of unlocked, if there's more that can come from it over time, I'm happy to, to let it go. But is there another point in this conversation that you would like some inspiration, just not mechanical inspiration, on?
Did any of the statues, recalling back then, did any of them have names to them, or was it just statues of people?
They never bore names. They had faces. They had certain traits. As you were talking about the horns of tieflings, you saw all different kinds.
Yeah.
We have to imagine, in this case,
different shapes. Yeah.
But they were never like tombstones that would say, "Oh, this was Aunt Betty," or even me as an autobiography. They were all images. Now you came to a point of determination that the 6 major statues, and of course there were the 6 counted, even though there was this 7th that was kind of falling apart. Water was constantly pouring over it. So it's called the 6 landlords, but there was really this 7th. But you had this inspiration that this is describing a process. If you were to give it a name, you could name it parts of this process, but they weren't proper names. There's no one that's really, never really known as anything. And even as you indicated, Zuvawau, that is the name that you sort of felt. That is what called to you from the whisper, from the wind, the newspaper that hit you in the face kind of a thing when you were standing out in the storm in the middle of the city. And you have no clue what Zuvawau may look like, except you also do because you stood in the river to control the waters in the Dragon Valley. You've been out in the storm. You've traipsed across snow and rivers and grass and through the forests. You've been on beaches. You've flown through the sky. So you've experienced all kinds of faces of Zuvawau. It's just none of them have a consistency.
Yeah.
And, well, your awakening was through this final step over here when the water burst and the statue may fully well be described as being destroyed. So there's not even really remnants of a 7th statue. It's just kind of a craggy waterfall now with humanoidish indications
in it.
Yeah. So you can give it a name, or you have, or maybe several, or images, but yeah, this is. Hopefully, this is a clarification or sort of a refocus on the thing that you were talking about. And by the way, if you want a visual reminder, you don't have to roll a die. You all have seen this. I'll bring this slides up like this before. If you want to, in your minds, go back and, you know, re-explore a scene.
Mordecai doesn't really have much more to add to that.
Yeah, I feel like I should have another question to ask, but
Mm-hmm.
but I don't. So
Okay.
I mean,
You can always try your thinky bits later.
yeah, I mean, I guess I guess I don't understand the statues and the land as well as Mordecai does, and that makes sense because that's his thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm never quite
Recently,
sure
his thing.
how to interpret it.
Well, then what if it's more of an exchange in the reverse, where an entity's power like Zuviwo is fueled by the people who believe in her?
But almost nobody even knows who Zuviwo is.
Maybe that's why she's as weak as she is.
She doesn't seem that weak to me. You can do all kinds of cool stuff.
Well, I mean, but you don't see different clerics of the land or, you know, the like very much, and maybe that's because culturally the regents forgot about her and replaced her with Ouijas or whatever.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, the organized religion.
And then
has
Sonaruth
gone
came
away.
along and took advantage, maybe.
Well, that's one way to look at it. But I think,
The actual planet's dying.
yeah,
And if she is the land, then she's part of that. The land ceased to exist, she ceased to exist.
yeah. I just think of Shonaruth as being maybe more. Now the land is awakening. I mean, if the land is just a giver and it's unconditional, then it wouldn't even mind too much if people turned away and went to Ouijas. It would just, I mean, it might be sad, but it wouldn't.
Wouldn't be
Like
jealous, I don't think.
it wouldn't
I don't
smite
get that
everyone.
kind of,
Yeah, it wouldn't be jealous. So now that
I
it's
don't get
awakening,
that kind of, yeah.
it would. It needs people now. Now the land and the people need each other, and
Because she's in
And-
trouble. That's why, yeah.
that's how. I mean, you and Celine are maybe the first ones that the land has chosen, because you already have experience. You're already on that mission. You have experience drawing power from Ouijas and other places too for you. So you were probably just the best choices. But maybe there are other choices, other people who've been chosen too.
I mean, I'd count you among those.
Yeah, but I don't draw my power from the land.
No, but
I use arcane magic just like every other wizard.
yeah, but where does arcane magic come from?
I mean, nobody knows. It could come from the land. It's possible.
I mean,
But-
it's you
But it just feels so different.
taking an
I mean,
element of energy and converting it into something that you need in the moment. I mean,
yeah,
that's the same as what I do, except, you know,
but our spells are
Style.
almost completely different. Not only is the means different, the results are different too. It just feels like a different kind of magic.
stylistically maybe, but it's still pulling some of the energy of the world and creating a purpose for it and putting it to that purpose, right?
Yeah.
In the case of a fireball, it's pointing at an object, then it explodes.
Yeah, that's fun.
For healing, it's
But
taking.
see, that's a perfect example. You can't do that. I can do that. You can't. And I can't heal people except if I pull the life out of myself, which is really, really owie. I don't like to do it.
Well, maybe yours is more fire based, but you've seen me throw bursts of light out.
Yeah.
Swords made of light, scythes made of light.
Would you two want to, since you're talking about this, you're like, oh, there's the giants and the dragons, and there's the creation of Ouijas, etc. Do you want me to play the little slideshow from the cave again? I don't know if that would be a refresher for you, but...
Yeah,
Well,
I think I pretty much remember the slideshow
Okay.
from the cave. It's just
Yeah.
that we're kind of bumping up against the beginning of it. So
yeah.
we'll probably
eventually find who's at the beginning of that.
well you
Some
can
point.
you can expect legend lores on things like that almost every time I don't use my level 9 spell slot.
Understood.
Yeah, it's the energy is there. It's what do you do with it? That's how I've come to think about it. I mean, I was a bard. I was an arcanist. I was using arcane methods. I haven't really changed my methods much. It's just how it comes out that's changed. I mean, I don't really play my violin nearly as much as I probably should. I'm a little rusty, maybe. But I don't know, just something to think about.
Yeah.
So that also makes me wonder if the land has, life to it, what else does? If the land is an entity, what else does? What else is?
Celine walks in and, oh, sounds like I missed out on a conversation.
Yeah, we were just
Musing.
thinking about the cave and where giants came from.
Where mankind maybe came from?
Yeah, the origin of everything. Just basic stuff.
Oh, well, I'll have you know then. I had a good conversation with Loki. I'll tell you about it later, though.
Okay.
Thank you for accepting that on its face. At some point, though, Norallie, you will be awakened, and you and Loki will be returning to the shack.
His horns go straight up.
So the two return. Loki is... He's not like beaming with energy or anything. Like, he seems to be in a good mood. Maybe the fresh air. Like he said, the fresh air would help him think, and a lot of thinking's been going on. Maybe it did, but he comes back and he is in just a generally good mood. He tells you thank you for giving him some time. He appreciates it, and it was just nice to sit down and collect my thoughts again.
I think that's what we've all kind of been doing for the moment, is just collecting our thoughts and just letting them happen. So,
Feels like I just woke up, but you know what? I let the pain, the cramps and everything from being asleep for too long. A lot of it's passed by. I'm, the food wasn't great. Sorry, Celine, but you know what? I feel I do feel energized. I
What do
feel
you mean?
revitalized.
The food was great. I mean, oatmeal and carrots. And, I mean, what else could you ask for?
I
A little
bright
bit of
the
tofu. It was so good. You could dip the tofu in the oatmeal.
there's a
Too much oatmeal.
there's a
Too many
lot. As soon
places.
as I get back to a city, there's a lot that I want to see and do and taste and
Oh, you should try protein.
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 it's a Shadowheart dish.
It's
Oh.
really good.
Yeah, it's kind of fattening, but
It's potatoes, cheese, and gravy.
It's delicious.
If you like heavy, starchy food.
He doesn't mean it as an insult, but he looks over to Celine and says, "You never told me about this stuff." And she's just like, "Oh, ugh." Uh, uh, we had a talk. Or not Norallie. Loki clarifies. It helped put things in
Well.
perspective.
Well, if it helps you feel any better, I can really go for some fried fish.
Oh, if I can help you feel better, of course I want to feel better as well. I would. Oh, fish sounds really good right now. And Celine pauses for a moment. It's Cipher. They will be here soon. One moment.
Perfect.
Okay, thanks. Bye. All right.
Good.
She sends the response back. Well, if we want to go on a little bit of a stroll, it seems that it'll be here within the hour. I told him about where we would be, and they'll be here when they can.
Well, sounds good to me. Let's go home.
Okay? You pack up your things from the shack. I mean, for all the things that you have. You head out and about. You leave behind Celine's shack. You leave behind the cave. And, well, any other things that you may want to leave there. Or if there's things you want to take, bear them with you. And you head back into the valley, where there's probably fish in some of those streams if you wanted to catch something and cook it up real quick before you're picked up. Who knows? Whatever DJ will be preparing aboard the Repentless.
well, I'm completely happy with Celine's cooking.
Mordecai is happy to wait until they get to the Repentless. Because he's had breakfast. He's not hungry right now.
Norallie is half tempted to lightning lure some fish.
Oh yeah, yeah. You just pull them right out of the. You pull them right out. All right. After only a short while, there is a knot cloud that passes. That passes in front of the sun, and the shape of the, well, not the bioship. Well, you know what lies underneath, but the Repentless in its gleaming Shadowheart-inspired armor with its sharp angles and features. The ship of the line is a shining beacon in the sky as it reflects the sunlight down after it passes by the source of light, and then it's shimmering. And it begins a slow descent down into the valley.
Perfect. Right on time.
Okay, so Loki. It looks nice and shiny on the outside, but it's not so nice and shiny on the inside. Just go with it. Don't make any comments. Don't stare at the eyes.
Yeah, it's best to avoid the eyeballs.
He gives you all a very quizzical look. Okay,
Let's take our word for it.
how
Yeah.
Wait,
huh?
does it look different to you? Do you see it? Like, what does it look like to you?
It looks like a flying ship.
Like a flying ship with like teeth and glowy bits and things all over it?
I see some glowy bits. I don't see teeth.
No, the teeth are on the inside.
Are they?
Yeah.
I mean,
It disguises itself to look like an actual Shadowheart ship, but it's not.
oh, I'm out of the loop. Okay, never. Well, let's just assume that was an alternate timeline that got erased.
As it lands, there is a door that opens up, and the red carpet itself rolls out for you, as from behind the thin veneer of the metal exterior, sharp, regal, nice corners, is pretty much a tongue. And the portal to the inside of the Repentless once more opens up to you all.
I see that Gene Simmons has joined the crew.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. The rest of the ship is even grosser. Just don't mention it.
Well,
Just don't say anything about it.
all right. It's kind of disturbing. Neat. I've never experienced this before.
Yeah.
As he's saying this and trying to be cool, though, Norallie, once more you feel his tail like intertwine with yours, in sort of like a "hold my hand, please" gesture.
Without actually holding hands.
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, to those of you not in the know, he's trying to play it off to be super cool, but Norallie, he needs you to hold his hand, please. This is really scary.
Yeah, just don't get too close to the teeth. Don't stare at the eyes. There's if Seltur shows up, she's a big shadowy dragonborn lady. Just be polite.
Do I make eye contact with her?
Yes,
Okay.
but only in a polite way.
I will politely look her in the eyes then.
Yes.
You make your way to the interior, and bright as you enter the ship once more, just, it's not a headache or anything debilitating, but there's just an uncomfortable chill. Unfortunately, a familiar feeling probably for you, but there's just
I get
this
those all the time.
there's just this moment where it was a dream. It was a dream. But boy, if that dream didn't look and feel super real right now as you're walking through the interior of the ship.
Well, as long as I don't see any monsters. Like insect people or Shadowheart or
Oh, hello, chicken nugget.
See, this is exactly what I was worried about.
Good evening, Seltur.
The voice echoes through the hallway/throat of the ship. Welcome aboard. Oh, and I must ask, Norallie, who is this tasty tenderloin next to you?
Oh, this is my brother Loki. I found him finally.
You did? Well,
Mhm.
congratulations. It must feel real nice.
Yeah.
You got what you've always wanted?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have what I wanted?
Celine does.
Oh, that's right. Celine's here. Well, Celine, you can kindly keep carrying my stuff for me, and I'll tell you where you can put it. Now, do continue to walk in. And Loki, tenderloin, watch your step. You hear more of a refined, echoed, like what we would have like coming over communications instead of a throaty biological, uh, breathy voice like Seltur. That of Professor Cypher. We'll be taking off in just a moment. If you need to hold on to something, find something to hold on to. It was a little windy once we clear the valley. And you can feel the thrum of the ship as the engines engage. And there's an odd in-betweenness between a almost like a predatory cat purring and something that just has a mechanical consistency. And the repentless begins to rise as you make your way through the hallways. Some, of course, meatier than others. And as you get to more refined places, bright, maybe you look over your shoulder once or twice, because things do shift and move. Fortunately, there do not appear to be any monsters per se, but, well, nothing jumping out at you. The repentless is airborne, and you all can make your way up to the main deck, as represented conveniently by only these 2 tokens, because we don't have a lot of time. So, all of you are here, all 5 of you. And, wouldn't you know, after ascending some steps, DJ is here and is dressed in a very formal, almost like a butler's uniform. He gives you a courteous and deep bow. Welcome back aboard. It's a pleasure to have you again. Oh, and Norallie? Whom do I have the pleasure of meeting?
This is Loki. He's my brother.
Loki. I've heard much and more about you. He comes over and just big, massive arms. He's got like the 3 fingers on each hand, goes and like almost like in his hand just grabs his whole forearm. Loki looks at you with wide eyes, like, what do I do? What do I do? Is this a monster?
So this is DJ. He's Seltur's butler. He's a minotaur.
I've never seen. I'm from not here. A traveler, you could say, picked up by Captain Seltur along my journey. Yes, DJ. It's a pleasure to meet you. Not meat as in beef. Meet as in like to get to know you. To to do what people do. Not to imply that you're not a person. The imposing figure of DJ really seems to have your brother kind of nervous here. Anyway, I contact it. Yes, I am Norallie's brother. As you know, she's a very important person, and I will request you as the butler of this ship to take us to our cabins. DJ looks to you, Norallie, and raises an eyebrow like a, "Oh, really?" Not like a threatening, but just sort of somewhat taken aback at the precociousness of your brother.
He's new here.
Well, then follow me, sir. And, of course, the rest of you are invited too. Loki looks at you, Norallie, and kind of like gives you a thumbs up and an acknowledging. And you also, as he does this, he also kind of goes, wipes a little bit of sweat off his brow. And you begin walking across the deck back to the mansion that exists as the as the quarters aboard the Repentless. The wind, rather warm, because remember, we're just a little bit after midsummer, and midsummer's not super hot anymore, but it's not cold. It's maybe a little above 68, but the wind helps make up for it. As it's blowing through, the sails, which are really cosmetic at this point, but damn if they don't create a spooky impression. The big masts, the beams almost look like just giant T's that are posing over everyone. And there's between the fluttering sails, the clouds in the sky, the sun once more sort of flickers on and off again. And who has the highest passive perception among the three of you here?
I have a 17.
Yeah, it's not me.
All right. That's Norallie. I don't know if you can beat a 17.
I have 11.
11. Let me double check.
Mordecai is still the eyeballs.
Perception. All right. Lethality's not here. Technically, I guess Lethality would win, but he's not here, so Mordecai, you get the glory here. We'll simply say that Celine stops and kind of tugs on your sleeve a moment, Mordecai, and did you see that shadow? And
I looked where she's looking.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, the tatters, could be the clouds, could be the tatters, and then it passes by once more, and you follow up as there's a glint and a gleam in the sky, where instead of necessarily being blocked out, the sun seems to be shining off of something, and it's not a Shadowheart ship. As your eyes focus to the light, and perhaps a cloud mercifully does intervene itself, descending quickly upon the Repentless is a very big, very upset-looking silver dragon.
Oh, no.
Huh.
And it is here we're going to break for the week.
Casimir. Casimir. Huh.
How about that?
Huh. How about that? He's not dead.
Huh. Why is he so upset? Why is he so upset? We were always nice to him.
Well, there's a little cutscene
he's
where you might have got
upset with
blown out of the
us.
sky, and
Blown out of
he's
the
upset
sky,
with the ship.
and he's also evil, and, all of that stuff. Uh-oh. Ruh-roh.
ruh-roh.
Well, so much for me having my level 9 slot to cast Legend Lore.
That's right. I can never leave you guys alone. I know the spells you have. I got to keep you on your tippy toes. But Coffee, I know you got to get going. Thank you very much. Do what you got to do. We'll see you around. If not, hanging out in our chat. We can come over and give you a look when you broadcast. You can also see Coffee hanging out in Derek's channel. You'll see
Yes.
Coffee around.
I'll probably do some commission work Tuesday for broadcast. So
Okay. That
We'll see.
works.
since my Tuesdays have freed up for broadcast time
For some strange reason, yes.
for some strange reason. I don't know what I'd broadcast. Probably commissions or probably terrain building. We'll see.
I was
Oh,
gonna say, I watched some terrain building.
yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
I've been stockpiling styrofoam
have
because
some-
I want to do terrain.
Though, if
Oh.
any of you out there do want to commission
foam.
coffee, ooh. If any of you want to commission coffee, Coffee asks for 15 an hour, does amazing work. I can tell you, as someone who has parted with many muns in Coffee's direction, I am happy with the work, and you can see that work on display in many ways.
In the tokens.
In the tokens, in the emotes, in the channel and other places too. So you want your characters drawn, everyone. You want your D&D character made. But anyway, enough shilling for you. Get out of here. You got a normie job to do now.
I got a day job / night job.
night job.
I consider it my day job because my days are nights and my nights are days.
Well, be well and thank you. Fluffy and Darkwolf, thank you for another fun session as well. As we
good
do
games.
have our cooldown now. If you had anything in the aftermath of the revelation or the play that we had, or anything you wanted to talk about. Now, obviously, I'm still on camera streaming, so if you got to talk about stuff on break, that's fine. But this is a bit of a free and open time now, that I can interact with chat over here a little bit more, and yeah, and we can move forward from there. Oh, actually, you know what I could do if you have a little bit of time, Fluffy? We can talk about your spells.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.